All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into this. I'm going to dive into what we're going to be going over today. Welcome to Micro Studio. I just jumped in here. This is the first time I've actually done a live with my Micro Studio, not at my house right now. So I did a speed test as far as my LinkedIn is going and everything like that for doing the live streaming, and it's showing up that we're able to do a high stream. However, we're still sending some data to LinkedIn. We're still sending some data to Facebook. I'm just looking as I'm monitoring. So, hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Garrin Bulani. I'm a virtual sales trainer, and I help individuals and corporations show up better on video. So over the last 2 years, I've obviously been teaching companies and clients how to create better and more engaging presentations. And here we are now because I knew there's going to be a position where I needed to start traveling again and finding a solution where I could still show up on video looking professional and presentable when I'm on the road, when I'm not in my studio, and hence Micro Studio. So when it's time to go, you pack up your Micro Studio. You can see it behind it. This is the carrying bag that it comes with. And of course, what we're using right now is there'll be a carrying case that's going inside of the actual bag itself. That bag is also a double for my laptop stand, so I'm not able to use that because I'm actually showing it right now. And I'm a little upset. Obviously, I'm a LinkedIn content creator, so I want to put all of my content through LinkedIn and pushing it through there right now, but we are having issues with Restream right now, so we're just on YouTube. I'll pull all of this data and this video, and if I need to replay it, we'll get into it. This demonstration is obviously putting into the thoughts of what I put together when it comes to doing live streaming and the backdrop. Having a professional backdrop so it allows my clients to relate with me. It has good conversation pieces. It's tasteful. It's not overly distracting, and it just puts yourself in a position where you're not staring at a blank wall, and you're able to create more of a professional aspect when you're looking into the actual meeting. So I am monitoring the chat. If you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I'll be able to answer them throughout the stream. If I'm not able to answer them throughout the stream, I'll be able to reach out to you after that right now. Obviously, before we get into it, it's still saying that it's sending data to my LinkedIn. So I just want to double check on my LinkedIn to see if there's any issues with that moving forward. And I'm going to go to the event. I'll check into on my YouTube page quickly here also. See if you can hear me okay. Obviously, we go through the virtual event checklist when we're going through these demonstrations here. Not that we're able to do a high stream. Cool. However, we're still sending some data to. All right, cool. So we're good on. Can't even speak right now. We're good on YouTube right now, so that's good enough for me right now. I apologize, LinkedIn. Usually these are the ones that I'm trying to get synced up with you right away. So we're gonna put that in here. We're ready to go. Sending the data. Okay, so when I'm going into virtual meetings, obviously the very first thing when I'm setting up a backdrop is I need to understand my surroundings and what I'm looking for. So you can't see it. I can show you right away here. I'm currently in my dad's living room right now. And my meeting yesterday, I ended up going with this exact same backdrop. So you can see it's a little bit more of a colorful decision. I met with this client before. I understood their personality and how they would respond to things. So this is kind of the reason why I went through the backdrop. But even in this living room, as I'm looking around right now, there's a bunch of different scenes and different sets that I tried to go with. And we'll walk you through this also when going on to the different decisions that I would make. And if I had a different clientele, we're gonna completely change this whole set by the end of this stream. So I want to keep this within a half hour, keep this to at least 11:45, and then pushing through it kind of thing. So again, put your questions in the chat. This is having a big issue with sending to LinkedIn, and I have a big network on LinkedIn. So if you are watching this, I encourage you to connect with me on LinkedIn. I post daily content on there. I try to bring some value and some comedy when it comes to LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is it's a troubling platform when it comes to young professionals and just making it more than just a job search social media page. So what I want to do is I'm just going to share my YouTube page with my LinkedIn connections just so they can follow along also. When I was doing sound check and actual check, I was having some issues with Restream this morning, just as far as connectability. I did again, when I'm going and I'm traveling, I'm not connected hardwired. If you have an opportunity to always connect hardwired, if you can with your internet, it's going to eliminate significant delays, significant issues. Right now, we're on a wireless connection internet. I ran a speed test earlier this morning. However, when you run on Wi-Fi, there is some issues as far as connectability. Right now, LinkedIn is giving me that issue, so not a problem at all. So when I'm going into my clients, obviously when I'm deciding on a backdrop, I need to look at my set and I need to understand where the lighting is coming from. I want everybody to understand when you invest in MicroStudio, this kit is a $1,500 Canadian kit. This is exactly what we're using on right now. So the way I look, the way I sound, this is what you're able to do when you're traveling and you're working professional. So many people ask, well, who is MicroStudio for? MicroStudio is for individuals who want to be live streaming, traveling professionals. It's a podcast in a bag, right? So ask yourself right now, when you go into your virtual meetings, are you showing up like this with this audio quality, with this visual quality, with the proper lighting? And if you're not showing up like this, then you do have desire to show up like this, I highly encourage you, go to MicroStudio.Design, www.MicroStudio.Design, and it's going to give you an opportunity to purchase this bag. One click, shows up at your house. Everything is in the kit. This starter kit is only 2 USB ports. So the only minimum requirements that your laptop needs to have is 2 minimum USB ports, right? So we get this going into, and of course, when you invest with MicroStudio, I'm your instructor, and you will get provided with your virtual event checklist. This is going to give you the opportunity, before you go into every live stream, you're going to eliminate any sort of opportunity and any sort of limitations that come with technology. When you go through this virtual event checklist, this is going to take away any sort of issues that might come with technology. However, technology, as we can see right now, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. However, this checklist put me in a position where I feel prepared and I feel ready, even though we are having some issues connecting with LinkedIn. We still got a bunch of other channels that are rolling through. So you do get a virtual event checklist that comes with your kit. And of course, you get a hard copy of your virtual event checklist. So this is all invested with your MicroStudio kit. You will get access to exclusive live streams, question and answers, customized videos for yourself when you do invest in MicroStudio. So it's more than just the equipment. It's educational, and it's bringing everybody up to pace and up to speed with what you should be showing up as when you're working in the virtual set. So I'm going back into the situation. What I'm going to identify is where the light sources are coming from. Right now, we are facing a west window, so you wouldn't be able to tell right now because I actually I blinded and I reduced as much light as possible in this living room. This is a very common mistake with anybody hopping onto a Zoom call or a virtual meeting. Yes, natural light is good. Yes, natural light is cost effective. However, if you are not getting the light from the proper place, you're going to end up looking overexposed. You're going to look extremely washed out. So in this situation, we have a west-facing window, and that's not the worst thing ever because a west-facing window, I'm only going to have to worry about direct sunlight later on in the evening. When we're in GB3 Studios and when we're at my house, I have south-facing windows. So south-facing windows can be very troubling and challenging because you have the sun the whole day and you get direct sunlight and you have sunlight coming in. So it makes it very difficult to manage that. So I'm very fortunate enough that I'll show you behind me here. I'll turn this around so you'll be able to see. We have the blinds, so I just basic speed or basic blind covering that I have on there just to reduce lights. And then of course you can see here I put up a blind there because there's an overhead window there, and the reason why I blacked that out is I'll bring you all back around here. Come along. You'll see here because that window, I was actually getting a glare from this photo right here. This is another fact that not a lot of people put into consideration when your backdrop. Do you have anything that's reflective? I've been in videos and I've been in meeting calls where I could see what was on their screen. And you can see different things when you have a reflection. I've had people who actually have mirrors, so you can see different parts of the room that you might not necessarily want to show other individuals when you're in a virtual call. Be really mindful of reflection. And of course, centering the frame here. This is really important. And use points to be able to line everything up. So use hard edges where you're going to be able to line things up so you actually look straight. You know, you don't want to have something where it's looking like that, and you can see it's obviously okay, but there's no necessarily reason to have this open setting. So you want to have your backdrop. I can see here there's a hard line right here. This is what I'm going to use to be able to level up my camera just on this actual side. I'm going to line it up so I know I'm not crooked, right? So you can see how I line it up nicely there. And now I have a hard line. Now I know, because this is another thing, virtual professionalism. We obviously want to synchronize in-person meetings as best as possible. So if you're in a situation where you kind of look a little bit wonky, or you know, even the slightest, right? This is pretty dramatic, so probably people wouldn't be that dramatic, but you know, even something like that, you know, you see how this frame up here, it's not lined up perfect. It's these are the things that you want to look for when you're setting up your backdrop. So making sure everything is even and level, and of course use your backdrop as guidance so you can show up where it actually looks a proper frame. You know, this is another thing when people just use straight laptop cameras, you know, it's going to give you that upward trajectory. I did a post yesterday. If you can see your roof, you look like a goof, right? So this is very typical what a lot of people do. They think their backdrop is great, and it usually is, but this is an upward trajectory, right? So it makes it look like I'm looking down on you. Hence why we want to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'll pick this up and I'll actually show you what my current setup is. So I'll carry my microphone with me right now just so you can hear it properly. So again, this is of course 2 plugins, and it's a very simplified setup. So I have the 2 lights that are here. I'm going to catch that. Hang on here, folks. So you can see, just for a basic setup here, you can see my MicroStudio kit is underneath here. So I actually have that as a laptop case. Everything, all of your equipment fits in that case. And then of course you have a carry-on bag that's with you also. And this is the generic setup. So you can see I have a west-facing window. I have a lot of light coming in that way. So I wanted to reduce all of that. So let me please get set up again here. And again, every time you go into virtual meetings, you want to make sure, so even like this, the camera, you can see right away, it's not straight. You can see even on the TV here, how it V's out almost. So you can tell right away that this is not the most center spot. So again, find the hard lines. Right now I'm using the top of the Beatles album, okay? Yellow Submarine, if you're a Beatles fan there. And you can see I kept the light in the actual frame. So lighting is a huge thing. So managing light and having that over here, and this is why I have Lume Cube. So every investment with MicroStudio, you're going to be dealing with Elgato, you're going to be dealing with Lume Cube, and you're going to be dealing with Newer. So I've worked closely with a lot of these reps just to establish an ability to be able to talk about these products and sell these products within the MicroStudio kit. Yes, please, you can go to Amazon, you can buy all of this equipment, you can go and you can do all the research that you want on your own. The reason why I launched this starter kit for MicroStudio is simplified. One click, you get everything you need. You don't have to worry about different cables coming in. You don't have to worry about things coming in at the different times. It all comes in at once. So sales professionals, sales leaders, if you have new hybrid workers and new remote workers and you want to set them up with a welcome package, MicroStudio is a phenomenal way, especially moving forward, because virtual and video is going to play a critical role when it comes to sales professionals, customer service, customer support, outreach, and just humanizing people when we work in the virtual world, okay? So we have that. So I'm working about lighting. Obviously, I want to understand my clients, what's tasteful and what's not tasteful. My client yesterday, I knew it was a great opportunity just to bring some light and some character to the actual presentation itself. Hence why we went with more of a colored theme. We got the Yellow Submarine. That's my isolation piece. When you invest in MicroStudio, you are going to be getting a digital course of myself going through everything that you need in the virtual event checklist. One of them is understanding your backdrop and understanding an isolation piece. An isolation piece is just it's isolated piece that you are confident enough to talk about, so you can have icebreakers. You can, when there's awkward moments in virtual calls, you have something where you can have a discussion about. Because this stands out so much, a lot of people are going to ask if I'm a Beatles fan or this and that, and I can tell them about this photo and this painting and where it came about and how it ended up there. And then, of course, right away I have my MicroStudio kit. So after we have the isolation piece, we can go immediately into my service and what I'm actually offering for my clientele in these meetings, so it can be effective and moving forward. So we're hitting up at the 11:30 mark right now. This is another thing when we talk about, we'll dive into audio and everything like that, but when you have fans, my computer fan is actually going off right now, so we obviously want to put in some different dampeners when we have these microphones in place. Hopefully you can hear me okay and it's not too distracting right now. Again, this is the first time I've actually done a live stream. There is a couple tweaks that I'm going to want to put into place for the live stream moving forward. And lighting is the huge thing. So you can see here what also comes in your Loom Cube pack or in your MicroStudio kit. This is actually one of Elgato's newest key light minis. It's a portable light. I like this using just for the backdrop to be able to create some highlights and some different depths. So you can move this around. What I love most about this kit is actually there's magnets on it. So when I'm back in my house, if I'm in a place where I can actually stick it on some metal, it's going to give me an opportunity. The reason why I like having backlights is because you can see, having something like this, I can either highlight the actual back wall, I can highlight a side profile, so if I need more lighting. But in this case, I wanted to highlight the MicroStudio bag a little bit more. So what I did, just simply have that on there. In the backdrop, just to give it a little bit of depth and everything like that. And of course, when you're working at your backdrop, this is a great example of what not to do. We have more of a dull beige backdrop, and I'm wearing a dull beige shirt, right? So ideally, you're going to want to maybe put some more contrast into this, because you can even see if you don't have this light here, you're going to blend significantly into the wall, and you're going to look. So that light, again, it's going to create depth, it's going to create separation. So even if you have a faux pas or something where you're wearing beige on beige for the backdrop, you can see how it separates it a little bit, right? And then taking it away, you see how you got a little bit of light from the natural light here that separates it, but still I tend to blend in with this. And then another thing, if you're using chroma keys or green screens, this is another thing that's going to be able to save you from having to look into that. So 3-point lighting system, obviously extremely important when we're going into this also, and this is the main backdrop that I'm looking for. So I don't want to be on a completely blank wall. I want to have stuff that's going to be able to separate myself. So we have 2 picture frames here. I'm going to line myself best as possible within the two kitchen, or the two photos. Simply because, we talk about symmetry and we talk about making things look nice. These are the things that's going to be able to separate you from your competitors when you put in simple tasks like this, like sitting in front in between the 2 pictures rather than sitting off on the side, right? So these are the things that you have to be mindful of, and not having stuff too overloaded on one side and too overloaded on the other side. We talk about backdrops. A lot of people like having bookshelves behind them. I think bookshelves are really good, but it can also create more of a claustrophobic look to it. You have thousands and thousands of books all behind you, and then you put in there, it creates the room to be a lot smaller than it needs to be. So in the virtual space, obviously, again, I say this a lot, but the depth, right? Creating a bigger space to making it feel more open, more welcoming, and not too much that's happening in the backdrop. This backdrop, I normally wouldn't have something so. This is a lot. This could be quite distracting if I was to hop on with the first clientele or a client that I didn't really know about their backdrop. I wouldn't necessarily go with such a funky little backdrop. I think it's great, but when we talk about sales, we obviously want to cater to the general consumer. There's ways that we can obviously make it so it makes it feel more like them. But if you don't know who the client is or what to expect, being more on the conservative side is going to benefit you more than being more on an area where you're kind of doing a little bit of test. This is not the time to test things out. Live streaming, if I'm live streaming, it's my set, right? I don't have to worry about catering to other clientele, so I'd be perfectly fine with having something like this on a live stream. So it's, again, going back to your clientele, understanding who you're presenting to and catering it towards that. So this is the backdrop that we had. I do have 2 more sets that I'll do a kind of quick shift of the actual MicroStudio itself, just to kind of give you some different dynamics and some different options. So if I didn't know who my client was or how it would cater to, I would probably go towards more of this backdrop here, and I'll kind of show you why. So I'll start switching things over. Again, feel free to put questions in the chat, and we'll talk a little bit more about this. But I'm gonna switch the table over a little bit here. Again, see, remember, reflection. Stay away from stuff that has reflection where you can see stuff back, right? You can see in the TV right away how you can see exactly what's going on to my actual laptop. Again, and also with glasses, if you wear glasses, be mindful of the reflection that happens on your glasses, okay? So move this over. So obviously I'm going to start sliding things over, make it more convenient. Okay. And this is another great example of just having like kind of a wonky little, the camera, it's not even right now. So that's going to be really important to actually make this even. Move into the set. And this is just a great demonstration of how simple MicroStudio can be, just as far as equipment and moving things around. Technology at times can be really intimidating. However, when you invest in MicroStudio, you're going to get the proper training. You're going to get all the proper things you need. So I'm going to quickly unplug this laptop here. Stay with me. When I'm doing live streaming or video calls, I typically want to have my laptop plugged in at all times, just so I don't have to worry about it going dead or losing battery. But because we only have a little bit more time on this live stream, I'm confident that my batteries are going to be able to last for that long. Let's just move this camera over here. So this is going to create a different dynamic because all of a sudden you can see how the picture has changed. Now we have to worry about the light being behind us. You see how much backlight we have here just with this natural lighting. This is a great example of why you don't sit in front of a window, because it can create a lot of issues where it's almost like a Jehovah's Witness program, right? You take this away. I have zero lights on me right now. Like, look how dark this looks. And I have huge light coming here that's creating issues with the general picture itself. So what I'm actually going to do is what I would do to be more conservative is I was actually even take the back window out itself. Again, so what I'm going to use is this window frame here as how I'm going to line up the camera. So I know it actually looks relatively straight. You see that? So line it up with there. You can see a bit of the roof. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to bring this down a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to place, obviously I want to be center in the frame itself. I want to make chairs look nice, everything look good. I'll probably get the fan out of the way. And I'll tell you why that I didn't like this setup. It's not bad, but it's just really hard to center yourself because we got a lot of stuff going on here. We have a picture frame here. We got a big picture frame here. I'd probably say this would be my isolation piece if I'm going into this meeting, probably what they're going to ask more questions about. But because it's on such an angle, or it's tilted a little bit, you can see this picture almost looks not even. It doesn't look straight, right? So again, switching it ever so slightly. But you can see up on the top here, you can see the roof. Don't want to see the roof. Get the roof down a little bit, right? Bring the roof down, line this up. And I could even use this picture frame here as a line also to make sure. Okay. So if this is more of a conservative look, this is where I'm going to be going for, because again, you have pictures, I have my diploma and everything up here. However, it still does look a bit wonky, just as far as looking straight into the camera. So let's get this thing lined up here a little bit. Again, looking crooked. There we go. So that looks significantly better. And then what I would even actually do, check. Okay. Grab my MicroStudio bag. Okay, we haven't even done lighting yet, so keep that in mind. I would probably put something right there. And I mean, I might even use this chair if that was, probably get that down. Probably get rid of those completely. Okay. So this is the stuff that I do, and this is what's going to separate you as far as being a virtual professional, is actually setting up the backdrop to look presentable. So we don't have lighting. So remember, we'll go into the lighting. We're at 11:40, so we're hitting on time here because this is the two options that I would talk to you about. Okay, so again, we have this light. This is the Elgato light that I'm all about. So I'm probably going to turn. So these are a couple things that we can do. So this is a great way, again, we can do depth. So if I wanted to highlight the Micro Studio bag, I could just place it pointing there. You see the difference? No light, light, no light. You see how highlights that a bit there? Gives a little bit of my shoulder. Again, I'm on beige, so I'd be mindful of that. But this is another good opportunity to even highlight stuff over here. Okay? Creating light there if you wanted to. Even like something like that. Just to create, yeah, I mean the shadow, that's pretty bright, so I'd probably turn that down a bit. It doesn't have to be too intense, but I might even use that as a light to cast a backlight on my back head there. Okay, create a little separation. Let's see how that is. I don't like that, so we'll change that. But now let's get into the actual lights to cover the face. So you can see here, natural light. I'm getting a natural key light from the actual natural window itself. So I'm probably going to use that, move that over here, just because we're getting a lot of light over here. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to counteract my light on this side for me. I'm going to turn this down because I am a bit overexposed. Again, this goes down to more light doesn't mean a better picture. Okay. So there's different temperatures you can work with. We're working with white lights here, so 5600 Kelvins. We also talk about different Kelvins in the actual presentation itself. So let's take a look here. I like the light there. I'm gonna move the backlight, but because I don't need this light here, this would even be a great opportunity to actually even highlight MicroStudio. So I'm just gonna put it on a stand behind here. Again, you can see how all of a sudden it just creates some depth there. I can move the bag if I wanted to get a little bit light here. Let's see. Move that back there, and then I'm gonna get rid of this light because it didn't do what I was supposed to do. Okay. And then for something in a situation like this, I'm very happy with the lighting. This is almost maybe a little bit too much, but I mean, you can only do so much. That's actually sitting at 1% right now. And then, excuse me. Okay. So even just creating another way to have it, I'd have to put it on a stand, but I could even have that there and turn that up a bit. So these are the two options that I would be picking as far as just picking a backdrop and everything like that. You can notice right away, again, you can see how I'm lined up the best I can in between the two picture frames, having it straight and lined up. I'm gonna wanna have all of my computer and information lined up here properly. Move this chair just to have it set. And there you go. You have yourself a set. These are one of the two options that I use. So if I was going into a client where I didn't know, or if I was doing some video calls or anything like that, this is more of a casual setup that I would have lined up. I have family members there. I have accolades there. I have one of my business diplomas that I have hung up there just for conversations. Then we have a beautiful artwork. And then of course we have MicroStudio. So plenty of things to be able to give my audience something to view, something to pay attention to if they're wanting to, you know, just break the monotonous of just staring at you the whole time. Then of course, conversation pieces, right? These are the best ways to do it, to create those awkward situations. But what I want everybody to understand is when you're setting up your stage and your backdrop in a traveling situation. Get your isolation piece, find some sort of isolation piece that's going to be able to have a good conversation with you. If you're in a hotel room, this might be a painting in the hotel room, this might be something else like that. And then of course for me, we're gonna have the bag here, and then you can have multiple setups here as far as switching everything up. So find some shelving that you could use also to switch it up. Lighting is also extremely important when you're looking at your backdrops and your settings. So being able to manage lighting as best as possible. If you can, black out all lights and then use your MicroStudio lighting kit to create the best picture going into this. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Demonstration of MicroStudio, what you want to put in for your backdrop. Please, if you do have any questions, feel free. You can email me at info@GarrinBulani.com. If you do have interest in purchasing this MicroStudio kit, this whole demonstration was based on this traveling MicroStudio kit. The starter kit is $1,500 Canadian. And then of course we have digital coursing and support on top of that as far as being an instructor. Perfect timing. So please, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me in MicroStudio. It was a prompt live stream, and this is how I'm rolling as a traveling professional moving forward. Because I have MicroStudio and because I have the proper training, I am very confident that no matter where I am in the world now, whether I'm at GB3 Studios or I'm in my dad's living room, I can go and present myself in a virtual meeting in front of my clientele, in front of potential customers, and in front of potential investors with confidence, showing them that I understand the importance of showing up virtually professional. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Garrin Bulani. I'm your instructor. Thank you so much for tuning into MicroStudio, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful day. Take care.